Mr. Adam Ronin, Mr. TJ Combo.
So I bought something.
You made a big purchase.
So I've been hunting for this for a while. I couldn't find it. And I found it at Best Buy, just chilling. I thought, well, you know, this is the Xbox Elite. What is different about this from your traditional Xbox controller? Well, Timmy, lots of things.
Just about literally everything, right?
Yep.
What is it you don't like about your Xbox controller?
Well,
could be anything, right?
Yeah, maybe I don't like the sticks that come off. Well,
yep. You don't like that?
Just take it off and put on a different stick.
There's another one. You know what I hate? I don't like
You
that.
don't like this D-pad?
I don't like that D-pad.
You want the classic D-pad?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the classic D-pad.
Oh.
That makes me feel a little bit more at home.
Yeah.
I wish I had paddles though to like for first-person shooters.
Oh, do you?
Do you think a little bit faster?
Yeah.
The thing I hate though is when you got those like super squishy triggers.
Yeah, you want maybe like a hair trigger.
I wish I had a hair trigger.
What if you just flip this switch? And then you're like, oh, that's kind of hairy.
Look at all these
hair triggers
we've got.
You guys, this controller, no!
This is honestly, like when you're holding this controller, you can tell that you are holding something that is worth the money. This feels like every bit of its $150 price tag.
$149.99.
Yep.
You guys might be thinking to yourself, well, gee golly willikers, Adam, that's a lot of money. And I say to you, yes, it is.
It is a lot of money. It is a lot of money.
Don't discount that. That's a lot of money for an accessory for your gaming system. But
we do want to talk about that because this purchase may not be for everybody, and that's mostly just because of the cost, right? $150 is a lot of money to dip in or ask mom and dad to pay for it, right? Because mom and dad work hard. Give them a break.
Yeah.
So, what would make this worth $150? Because a normal controller, let's say it, is also not that cheap.
Nope.
Right?
$60.
$60.
So this is
a little more than twice as much.
Yeah.
But am I getting a little more than twice as much feature? I guess would be my question.
I would say you're getting much more than twice as much feature.
Do explain.
I will explain. So first of all, right out of the box, when you plug this in, so it comes with this little thing.
Which I might add is a very nice braided controller, like braided cord here.
Yeah.
Right. The braided cord is like the standard. Everybody wants to have one because there's less breakage.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about them getting bent and crimpled up and all kinds of bad things.
Yep.
This is cool.
Yeah.
This is very nice cable.
So you put it in your Xbox, and you put it on, and you go to the accessories and whatnot. Mm-hmm. You have to update the controller, so it's updated with the firmware.
Yep.
And then you have just a plethora of options.
So as I hold this little Ferrari-esque controller in my hand, right? Maybe you're not impressed with all these doodads. You're like, I'm not spending $150 on this
on a
little
PlayStation.
thing. I'm gonna freaking lose that, right? Let's talk about some of the cool features about this. And it comes with the remapping options that you have. And it's a little bit more than what you'd have with like a standard controller because of the additional paddles and such.
Well, not only is it more, but you can there's a plethora of options. You can control the sensitivity of your triggers. Mm-hmm. You can customize the sensitivity of your sticks.
And the precision level on this blew me away. This is so much more. It's something I encourage you guys to actually get to play with because even describing it is difficult. It has different settings, and it's not just your standard sensitivity. Like a lot of first-person shooters say, oh, I can go from 0 to 10, and 0 is like, it feels like I'm underwater, 10 is just like, and it's ripping all over the place. This actually has minute precision controls within that range. Yep. So these guys are gonna be so much more accurate than what you would find on just a standard $60 controller, or the controller that came with your Xbox, for example.
Yep, which is also a $60 controller.
Right.
And the paddles, of course, are a brand new addition to the Xbox controller. This is not a new innovative thing to gaming. Scuff controllers, stuff like that have these already. So
and that's one of the biggest advantages, and that's why people want to get the Scuff, is because you can do some additional mapping to make, fragging your friends a little bit easier, right? So something that I was playing with is initially, when we tried it at Halo, we had it set up to map to the exact same thing. So it was basically looking down sight, and it was set up to shoot. And I wasn't really feeling that. Like, I was just a very classic gamer in my head where I really wanted to still have my trigger. So I set my trigger up to hair, but you can set up things like melee to the little bumper on the back.
Oh yeah, or
And that-
grenades or something, you know?
Exactly. So you can actually make that a lot faster. So if you run into a room and you have that split second that you have to melee or knife somebody in Call of Duty, boom, that fast,
Totally.
way faster than the actual click
Yeah.
of the joystick.
Absolutely, Timmy TJ combo. So we tried this with a multitude of genres of games. I tried this with Mortal Kombat X because that is primarily you play that on a pad if you want the best. So I really wanted to see how I felt about this circular disc. So initially when I started it,
Because that disc had my attention too. I was like, does that thing even work?
You're like,
I
what?
want to know.
Yours is janky like a 360 D-pad, right?
Yeah, or like the Mad Catz Pro disc.
Yeah.
Where it's like, ooh.
At first, so I played online with a Boss Battle Ace, and I was like, I just can't do it. And I put on the old one, and we went at it. But then yesterday, I started digging in just by myself in the lab and like getting a feel for it. And after about an hour, it comes second nature. Boss Battle Gordy, who you are all familiar with, gave it a try, and in his first few seconds, it was like second nature. He loved it. He was like pulling off moves.
He mentioned that it's his preferred.
It's his preferred
D-pad
D-pad.
now.
And so I mean, you have to spend time with it to really get a feel for it. But it is a fantastic D-pad if you put in the time to get used to it.
Right, and I'd imagine things like rolling motions are going to be a little more friendly on your thumb. Any gamer, I don't care how experienced you are, if you're doing a rolling motion on the classic style D-pad, you're probably going to start to get those really thick thumb blisters that we've all come accustomed to. Because I mean, you can see these are raised up quite a bit, so if you had something that's a little smoother, this guy's very friendly to that. And in terms of precision, like when I tried it on Mortal Kombat, I was like, clunky, 39% combo, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
now I feel like I got it. Like, it was really smooth, and it took very little time to adjust to. The paddles took a harder time for me to adjust
The
to.
paddles are hard to adjust to because, like, unless you played on the Scuff or something that's custom made for FPS shooters,
Right.
you'd never experience this in your life. So it's weird because you don't know how to hold it because you're afraid you're going to just start throwing nades or punching people or whatever. But after a while, like the D-pad, you get used to it. The only thing I don't like is like if I'm chilling and I put it down to text or whatever, then I start throwing nades because my fat leg muscles start hitting my chun-li legs.
And that was something that I started thinking about when I was playing with it. I was like, you know what? I really want to have this for melee, but I feel maybe if I'm being aggressive on this side of the controller, that these paddles, I don't want them
And
there.
that's the thing, you can take them off.
So I was like,
And they're
hey,
all
do these even come
magnetic.
off? And he's like, I don't know, do they? And I was like, oh yeah, these come off super easy.
And they're just magnetic. They just
Which might generate a little bit of a fear that we talked about,
Yep.
right? So everything, it comes off if you remove it. Nothing falls off because it's magnetic. It stays on very well. But if you remove something and then like drop that something, it could disappear.
Oh yeah.
Mom vacuums up the D-pad or the dog
Snuggles
chews up.
comes and chews up
Yeah.
my up.
I mean, these I would hope are replaceable.
I'm sure they are, but they're
Yeah.
probably gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll send you a new set of sticks for $69.93.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I wouldn't expect they're cheap because they're magnets and they're high quality. So use the case. The case has very nice slots that it comes with to maintain these things, but definitely be very diligent about that, which kind of brings me to my next point. I don't recommend this for young children because of all these little parts.
Well, no, I don't recommend it for young children because let me tell you what this controller is for. This controller was made for the pro/competitive gamer. That's what it is. If you're a casual gamer, this probably is not a worthwhile purchase because it's an expensive controller. But if you are an FPS competitor and you play on a clan and you are, getting into tournaments to do Call of Duty or you're in Halo tournaments,
This is a nice alternative to
this
stuff.
is such a great controller for you.
Now, that being said, I think if you were a casual player, and let's say, I'm going to go with examples from within the room, from our live studio audience right now. Let's say you are a PlayStation player, right? And you had Christmas come up, and you're like, I want to enhance my casual experience, and I just got an Xbox. So you get this guy, but you've always played on PlayStation, so maybe you're not as comfortable with that. You could go with this
it comes with a little-
PlayStation style option here, so you feel more at home right out of the box.
Which also feels inferior, I can say.
Actually, PlayStation went away from those two, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But you do have the ability that if you're a casual player trying to enhance your experience, you can not only enhance it with a more quality controller, but you have the capability of maybe making this match like a PlayStation controller, so you feel more at home on both, which makes the transition from one game to the other a little more smooth. That being said, that would definitely be like a recommendation purchase for a casual player.
Yep, actually not too bad. Another couple cool things that I forgot to mention is it has a 1 and a 2 slot here, so you can customize 2 profiles. So maybe you've got a fighting game profile and you click it over to 1 and this is your punches and these are your movements. Maybe you've got a first person setup that you like, that you've configured, that you call it like 420 Pussy Smasher.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You just click it over to 2 and it activates that control scheme. And that's pretty slick. Now,
which actually brings us to the point talking about the software we mentioned earlier. It comes with some different recommended loadouts based on different style of games. So like if I'm playing Forza, there's going to be a recommended loadout on this and configuration that is going to say like, hey, you might play a little better if maybe you're using the paddle for your gas as opposed to using like a trigger. And you can just preload that, set it for Forza, maybe that's your number 2 game, flip back over to number 1 for Gears of War.
Yeah, and I looked
super
through the ones it's got. It's got Gears of War presets, it's got Halo presets, Forza. It's super cool. One thing I want to mention before I forget is what's cool about it is it comes with the headset jack, so you can bypass that dumb headset adapter and just totally do like you're supposed to do, which is cool. The verdict here for me is this worth $150? Yes, it is. It's a fantastic controller. It is by far my most favorite gaming accessory I have ever purchased. If you are in the competitive scene. Competitive player, this is the controller for you. Casual player, maybe, but it's a bit expensive, but worth it.
That being said, $150 is a tough pill to swallow, I think.
Yep,
but
it is.
If you were the kind of guy who maybe goes through a $60 controller every couple of months, maybe if you're a little tough on them, get something that's a little higher quality.
Yeah, because this is a hefty beast.
These components are all metal, they're magnetized. In terms of the build, this feels like the Ferrari of controllers compared to the Honda Accord that we get now. If you guys have any other questions or you want to see our other videos, we got a little scribble button and a couple of Twitters here for you guys to check in.
There they are. There they are. There's the Twitters.
I want you guys to have them. I want you to have that Twitter. That's for you.
That's
you
for
follow. You follow me.